Hello friend, welcome back, or welcome if you're new. Today we are getting our Regency era on. We're going to channel some Jane Austen energy, some Mr. Darcy vibes, and we're going to make some cameo silhouettes on the gel plate. All you're going to need for this, we're going to work with just two paints. We're going to work with black and white, and you're going to need a gel plate. I'm using my 8x10. You're going to need a brayer. For the cameo silhouettes, all you have to do is print out a silhouette. I've made a little Pinterest board to get you started. So you can go and just save those and print them out. But obviously, here's a little side note. You got to, be concerned. If you're using this for personal use, your own crafting and arting, then that's fine, because I don't know anything about whether these images I've saved to this Pinterest board are copyrighted or anything like that. You know Pinterest. Some things are, some things aren't. So use at your discretion. Anyways, what I've done here is printed it out onto a piece of cardstock. You want something durable and sturdy. So I've cut her out, and I'm going to use both the negative silhouette and the positive silhouette. I'll go through, we're going to use some stencils with these, so to decorate them up. So save both pieces and make sure you cut it out carefully. Don't cut through a side or something. You want to make sure you start in the silhouette. So I have two of those. I've got a lady and I've got a gentleman here. Ooh, is this Mr. Darcy himself? So we've got those, and you're going to need some paper to print on. I'm going to use just, for the sake of the video, I'm going to use just some regular copy paper, but I will do one or two on just a mixed media paper as well, a little thicker, just to show you the difference in how it looks. You can also use watercolor paper or anything you want to print on. I did one on watercolor. It's like a handmade watercolor paper. It's gorgeous, but it's a much rougher texture. So those ones, I find that, and even the mixed media paper sometimes has to sit a little longer on the plate to absorb the paint. But anyway, I'm not going to do a handmade watercolor paper on this, but I'll show you one that I did earlier when I was doing R&D for this vid. And you are also going to need, last but not least, some stencils. These are biggie ones because you want something that's going to be either the same size as your plate or bigger, because you don't want to risk having like the line of a plate or something like that chopping up your image. So these are 12 by 12. I will link the pack that I got if you like these ones. You can also use stamps. These are just some stamps I got at the dollar store. They're like little wooden or MDF stamps, some little birdies and little wooden stars. I will go over this as well. I'm going to do stencils and I'm going to do stamps so you can see the diff. This is just to scrape out the paint from that container. Okay, so let me just shift everything along so we can get ready and get into our first printing. I'm going to start with the negative silhouette, and then we'll move on to the positive after that. P.S. I almost forgot as I'm picking these things up. You're also going to want some paper towel and water, or some baby wipes to clean off any unwanted paint. You'll see as we get into it, there'll be areas you're going to want to clean up. So baby wipes are great because they're a little more durable, but wet paper towel does indeed work. Okay, so now we can print, and also scrap paper. I keep forgetting everything. Here we go. The first layer of paint is always going to be black, and I'm always going to pull the print with white paint. And always make sure that you align where you want your imagery before you lay any paint down, because paint dries so swiftly on this gel plate. So align it up how you're going to want your image. I'm going to put her on there and pretend I've got my stencil ready, and I'm going to figure out where I want it, kind of positioned in her head, which sounds very bizarre to say. Okay, so I'm going to do it, move that. I'm going to do it, where do I, this is a pretty big focal point, the center of the stencil. Do I want that in the center of her head, or do I want it kind of off to the side? This is actually kind of neat for her bodice, which would be down here. That's kind of cool, Gives me an idea. Doesn't have to be perfect, because nothing does. Okay, so I've got that ready. I've got her ready. I've got my scrap paper off camera over here. And let's rock and roll. Okey-doke. gonna put some on. I always end up using too much black because I don't know why. This particular brand maybe just goes a long way. It's real slippery. See, this is gonna be too much. C'est la vie. Brayer, roll it out. You always know when it's too much paint because it'll be real slippery, which it is right now. For this first layer, I don't want it to be too thin, because I don't want it to dry super duper fast. I'm also going to do my best to get any lines from the brayer out. It's a little tricky, a little bit of a pain in the butt, and it can dry out your paint the more you roll. Okay. Come here. We'll call her Jane. This is Jane. So we're going to put Jane down onto the plate. Boop, boop. And we're going to press her down as much as you can. Get her in there. Let's just poke that little bit in. Because we want as much paint around the outside, like around this border here. We want that getting lifted. We want Jane to bring it with her when she comes off the plate. Because, as you'll see, you're going to need to clean that area up. Of course, it's up to you, but you'll see once I pull it. Okay, that's good. Now we'll get this on. And when we remove the excess paint, it's hard to see the black on black where my design is. So let's just put it down. Now you're going to grab a piece of scrappy paper and lay it on top and press it down, give it a rub, because you want to pick up any excess paint within that stencil area. Also, it will push down the silhouette. It'll push Jane down. You can always lift it and peek. There's some areas that need more cleaning. There we go. Oh, it's starting to dry. It's okay. We want the paint to dry on the plate. So just try and get up as much as you can. All right, pull up your stencil. Now we're going to pull Jane. Hopefully she's taken up lots because there'll be less to clean. But at the same time, I want to have something to clean to show you what I'm talking about. And we're going to have some to clean. Okay, pull her up gently. Even though it's cardstock, it can still rip. Plus I've used her a few times. So she's getting a little fragile. There we go. I mean, it looks so gorgeous already. So now we want this to dry because we're going to pull it with the white paint. This is where it's up to you. You can leave this in here and have like a little bit of a scrappy look, or you can clean it up. So I am going to clean it up, but I'll show you what one looks like when you don't clean it up. The border though, however, I do like to leave a little on the edge because when you pull it, you'll see it almost looks like an old photograph, you know, with the black rough edges around. It looks awesome. To me anyway, that's my taste. Okay. So I'm going to clean this up. Grab a little baby wipe. Don't worry, you're not going to have to watch this whole thing because it can take a little while to get it cleaned up, especially when you're going around the edges of her face. And it is squeaky, so I don't want to have to put you through that, listening to that squeak. But this is all you're going to do is just clean it up. Clean up all these crumbs. See, squeaky. And you're also with the baby wipe, with anything, with the paper towel too. You do need to change quite often because this will end up smearing and smudging on your plate and you'll end up with like a little faint gray mark, which is okay, but just change positions. Just change your cloth around every so often. So I'm just going to go around the edge. You can also use for these tight edges, like around her lips, chin, little areas like in here. You can use a Q-tip, a wet Q-tip. That will work as well. So now you get the idea of what I'm doing. I'm just going to scrub some more of this off and speed it up for you because, yeah, you get it. Okay. Okay, we're going to call that nice and clean. I'm just going to do this and gently pat any moisture off the plate before I lay down my white acrylic. All right. Feeling good. Let's make magic happen now. add our white paint to the plate. This layer can be a little thinner. You're going to see as I roll it. I'm going to cover the entire plate. You're also going to want to make sure your brayer is nice and clean because I don't think mine was. I can see my white paint going a little gray, which is fine. So we get a little bit of a gray scale happening. Okay, so I can see her through there. Again, oh, you know what? I think that is just, you know what? Be safe. I'm going to add a little more paint. I've gone too thin. I got too caught up in it being gray. Okay. Give it a little extra. Okay, y'all. You know what's happening here? It's gone too dry. I'm going to have to add more. And also, there's something on my brayer. It's clumping up. So, won't this be awesome if the first print I'm pulling to show you guys is botched? Hilarious, hilarious. Okay, we're trying again. We're pulling. You know, lay my paper over top. I have no idea what was going on there, but that was driving me nuts. Driving me nuts. Just giving it a nice little pressure. Just rub in little circles. You can also use a clean brayer on the back of it, but I prefer to use my hands because I like the feel. I'm going to do a little peekaboo. No, it didn't work. Oh my God. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to let it sit for a couple minutes and absorb the paint. I'll check back in a mo. Okay, Crumpet, I'm just going to pull this, and it didn't really work as much. Like, it's kind of sticking to the paper, but you're still going to get a good idea, and I'm going to do more anyway. So, oh, there she is. Jane, you sassy little lady. It actually doesn't look too bad because what this looks like is an old plaster wall. This is what I'm talking about with the darker edge. It looks like an old photograph. I like that. So let's move Jane. I'm going to have to do some serious cleaning on this plate. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know I kind of like a dirty plate. But for this, you're going to want a clean plate because you don't want anything kind of popping up in there. Let's move her aside and we will try another one. We'll do it with the gentleman, with Mr. Darcy instead. Let me clean this sucker up. So I said I was going to do another one with the Mr. Darcy negative silhouette, but you get the idea, right? You know what I did. So I think we're just going to do Mr. Darcy with a stamp instead of a stencil. So that is with a stencil in the negative space of the silhouette. Now we shall do a stamp in the negative silhouette. This again, you want to line up. You want to get an idea of where your placement before you roll out any paint. So what should we do? Should we give him a little flower on his hat, or would he have, does he have like a little bird on his hat? A star could be cool, but I think it's too solid. I want something with a little more design to it. Let's put a bird on Mr. Darcy's hat. Yeah, let's do a bird. So let's move him off the plate. Again, start with your black paint. Smear that on. Okay, roll it out. Roll it out as evenly as you can. Try to avoid lines right in the center. Obviously, you can change which direction you want him to face. I'll just put him this way for now. We're going to do the same thing. You want to press this down to pick up that excess paint along the border. Let's get our little sparrow. Is it a little sparrow? It's kind of going to go. There we go. Gently press that in. Leave that guy on there while I press this down more. Just really hoping I don't have a ton to clean up. Here we go. Now that I'm definitely going to want to clean up, as with that. Let's get our bird off. There we go. Okay, so I'll fast forward the cleaning again. Ah, Lasai, my camera pooped out on me just as I was about to clean this off. But you know what? I think maybe it was all for the best because you didn't have to watch me clean it because our boy Mr. Darcy had a lot to clean up around the edges. Let's pull this print. Let's get some white paint on. What is this now? What is this? Get off. Get off. Okay. I also cleaned the brayer again so we don't go all, oh my good Lord! All right. All right, here we go. Mishap after mishap. Whatever. You gotta laugh it off. Look, another mishap. Thank God for tweezers. Okay, so I'm going to pull this one with the mixed media paper. I'm not going to line it up. I'll just do it by eye. Drop it down. This one, because it is the thicker paper, I am going to let it sit on the plate for a little longer to soak it up. I'm just going to I'm going to give this one a little bit of a firmer press. Make sure you get those edges and corners, because I do want it to pick up that black outline. Let's let it sit. Okay, I let that sit for about 4 minutes or so, 3 or 4 minutes. And now we will pull the Darcy man. Well, I'm creasing my paper now. It's because it's that thicker paper. Oh my, letting it sit really glued him down. Oh, look at me like using all the muscles. Oh my God, Mr. Darcy, you are clinging. Sir. Whew. He made me work for that. There he is with his bird. I like it. You know how I mentioned earlier, if you clean it, if you you're using the baby wipe or a paper towel and you want to switch it around because it'll smudge. Here's those smudges. They're like little, it kind of looks like smoke around the edge. I don't know. You can love it, you can hate it, you can toss it, you can keep it. Such is art. Okay, so now we're going to move those and we will get the positive portion of the silhouette rocking and rolling. Okay, Mr. Darcy and Jane. I don't know, maybe this should be Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy. Should I change it up this late into the video? What's your favorite version of Pride and Prejudice? If you've seen it, if you like it at all. Personally, I like the 90s miniseries version. But I do like, in the Keira Knightley one, I do like Matthew McFadden as Mr. Darcy. Okay, anyways, I digress. Whoa. I also wanted to show you what a print looked like when you don't clean up all those little crumbs around the edges. And this is what it looks like. So it's not bad. It really isn't bad. It's, you know, it's a preference, obviously. It gives it a little more texture. And this is one I did earlier where I cleaned it. So you can see the difference between the two. Using this stencil, he looks kind of steampunk. Let's do the positives. We'll start with Jane / Elizabeth. And again, you want to line it up. So this one, we're going to put her in the middle. I'm going to use the same stencil I used for the negative version. And I'm going to lay it out. So this one looks really cool because it's going to look like wallpaper behind her. So I kind of have an idea of where I want it. I could just lay it on and, you know, I don't have to do too much planning with this. So we're going to take this. We're going to take this. You know what? I got to clean this up. Give me a mo. Okay, so the ghost of Mr. Darcy has been picked up, and now we are going to lay down some black paint. Okay. I'm going to try to avoid lines in the middle because that's where Jane / Elizabeth is going to be. Let's have her going this way. She stands out a little more in the middle. Okie doke. Again, press her down because you want to remove as much paint as possible from underneath her, because we're going to do the same thing. Clean it up if you want to. There we go. Let's lay this down before it dries. There. Now, scrap paper, press. Same as we did before with the stencil, you want to get as much paint up as possible. I'm really pressing down where she is. All right, let's see. There's some areas. That's kind of neat too. That is kind of neat. All right, it's drying, it's drying. Take the stencil off. So we want this to dry so we can once again pull with the white paint. She already looks like she's on a little wallpaper background. Here we go. Ooh, so sticky. Oh my gosh, I love it. She's coming up so nice and clean. Oh, after all the little teeny mishaps, I got a little bit of grace. So pretty. I am going to clean it up a teens in there, just so I can give you a couple tips on cleaning. When you're using wet paper towel, you want to wring it out. You want it because you don't want too much water. You don't want it too drippy because it could run into your print that you don't want coming up. So yeah, you don't want it sopping wet. And then I'll show you a little tip with the Q-tips. The Q-tips are the same for the tiny areas. You don't want them sopping wet either. So let's get into the Q-tips. You can get these ones. These, the precision tips. Sounds so dramatic, but they are pointier. But they're good because of the little point at getting in around her lips and her nose. Yeehaw for precision tip Q-tips. I'll just get a few more little spots, but speed jab. You can use the other end of the Q-tip to blot up any droplets of water. Here we go. I will pull this print on the mixed media paper as well. Alrighty. Once again, thicker paper, I'm going to let it sit for about 3 or 4 minutes so Elizabeth/Jane can arise. Again, a little bit firmer pressure on this one. I'm going to just rub it in circles with the palm of my hand and let it sit. Let's see how she turned out. Do. Just like Mr. Darcy, she's really sticking down. Hold that. Ooh, yeah. There we go. There she is. This one turned out quite nice. I like it. See, like a nice old wallpaper. And that's it. I'm not going to do one with the stamps because I think they'll be... You can always try it. Obviously, give it a try. But I like how this is, it fills the entire space around her, whereas these would be just like little sections and then it would be very heavy. But hey, it's worth a shot and I may try it myself as well. Yeah, so this is, let me move the gel plate and I'll show you some of the ones I did earlier. Here's another one I did with our gentleman. There he is. And then another one of the lady. So we have a few of those. They're kind of cool. Obviously, it would look way better lined up. You can trim this off and then picture that in a frame. I think it would look so good. Then we have the negative silhouette with a stamp, little flower in his hat. And we have Jane/Elizabeth with a bird in her hair. And then this is the one I did on, I mentioned a handmade watercolor paper. And that was this one here. As you can see, very textured paper. I don't know if you can tell on camera how textured it is. But it removes a lot, like you get a lot of texture around the imagery because of this paper, which I kind of like. Again, it looks worn like an old wall and it looks, you know, antiqued, vintage, loved. There they are. There's our silhouettes. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do another video, maybe adding a little color to some of these. You know, give them a little contemporary edge, a little modern flair, get some color happening in there. Let me know what you think, if you'd give it a try, if it's just kind of a different sort of art style, a different form, another way to play. But yeah, let me know below if you want me to do one with color. Let me know what you'd like to see, and I will chat you up in the comments and see you in the next video, sweetness. Thanks for popping by. Thank you so much for watching. I honestly really do appreciate you being here and hanging out with me. So until next time, mwah, all the love.